situation. But one day in my internship, I was working, and in walked somebody with a briefcase and in a suit, very professional. It wasn't one of our clients. And I wondered, oh, what does he want? And he asked to see the executive director. And so we led him to the executive director's office. And in those days, there was the door to his office, there was a kind of a glass panel so you could kind of see in. Not that, not to be spying, but that's just the way it was. And as a 20-year-old intern, I saw this very professional man in his suit and his briefcase just break down in the office. And I thought, I was startled. And it turned out he was a very well-known attorney in Pittsburgh. He's still practicing. I can't tell you his name, of course, but he's still practicing. But it was important for me to know that stress cuts across all socioeconomic, and certainly whether you're a professional or, in the ranks. The second thing, and I think I mentioned this in class, in my own doctoral program, when I was taking doctoral courses in the Graduate School of Business at Pitt with some really fabulous faculty, well published, one of the most influential courses I took there was on executive mental health, longitudinal studies that we looked at in terms of how leaders handled stress and so forth. So those two things left lasting impressions on me and my own work, and the importance of self-care for leaders, managers, etc. So in talking to the faculty and talking to Dr. Stennett, I wanted to really address this issue in a more formal way, and hence invited Dr. Arce, who's actually been to Point Park many times before to present for conferences and workshops and so forth. So she's familiar with Point Park. But I want to tell you a little bit about her before she starts her presentation. Dr. Arce holds a doctorate in counseling psychology from the University of Pittsburgh. She's licensed here in the United States as well as in Peru. She's currently the Director of Counseling Services and has worked with doctoral students, master's students, and undergraduate students in clinical settings. She has also worked at Western Psychiatric Institute and Clinic. She's been a part-time adjunct for Duquesne University, Indiana University, the University of Pittsburgh, West Virginia University, Duquesne, Norwich in Vermont, and so on. She's had a lot of professional publications and presentations throughout the United States as well as outside of the United States. She holds several, actually more than several, quite a few professional memberships and honors. She speaks 4 languages, Spanish, English, French, and German. She was taking a look at the warm-up activity, and I'll tell you a fun fact about her, how she relaxes. She comes from a family of swimmers. Her one sister was in the Olympics, so they take swimming pretty seriously. And the other thing is that she's an accomplished botanical artist. If you know botanical art and how beautiful those artworks are, they're amazing. So you're so talented and so gifted, Elsa. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Arce. I'm going to be up here to go through the slides. We are recording because Dr. Stennett wants to put this on the site for all doctoral students to see. And I know Elsa, there's sort of like humming in here a little bit, so I'm just going to ask Elsa to speak as, a little bit loud. The mic will pick you up for the recording, but I just want to make sure everyone can hear. And if sometime you have any difficulty, just raise your hand and we'll make sure that everyone can. Okay? Dr. Arce, it's really a pleasure to have you here tonight.
Thank you. My voice is very low, and I try to be very soft. I'm a therapist as a professional, So I try to speak very low to my clients so I can hear them, but also they can talk and hear themselves. So that's why my low voice too. And yes, I am an artist. Yes, it comes from my family. My parents were both architects. My younger sister is an architect. I never wanted to go to architectural school because the sciences and me were in a battle at that time. But later on with my doctoral degree, I did like science. I love statistics. I like to do research too. So don't put it out of your way. It is interesting. I found out in my graduate work. I am from Peru, so if you pick up a little bit of my accent, it's because my maiden language is Spanish. And I do speak French and German too, a little bit. I'm married to an Austrian guy, so assembled in Peru because his parents were Austrian, but he was born in Peru. And he does have a very thick German accent. If you meet him, you will never know that he was born and raised in Peru. Okay, I'm here to talk about mental health and stress, and we all have stress. We have to have it. And mental health, we all need to take care of ourselves because it's a fine line when you are not feeling okay, especially with your mental health. Not everybody is crazy. Not everybody is has a fortune of not having any issues with mental health because we go through life and we are dynamic, we are human, and we change, and we have to adjust to changes, and some of those changes produce loss and grief and sadness, and on the other side it can produce a lot of happiness, and we have to balance ourselves to be in a regular kind of middle level instead of going up or down. So I'm going to start with some definitions, and you can follow me with my slides. What is mental health? Mental health is usually about what we think, how we feel, and mainly how we behave. Why? Because the behaviors are the ones that are kind of the witness of how you're doing. If you're acting out, that's a behavior. And how many of you are teaching in a school or working with children or adolescents? And most of you probably recognize when your students are not feeling well, when something's going on in their private lives, because they react. And usually boys and girls react differently. Usually the boys, when they are sad, they are irritable and moody. The girls cry. You can see that. It's pretty much easy to see that. So your mental health is kind of a reflection of your behavior, your feelings, and your thoughts. What is stress? Stress is a reaction to all the experiences or events that you have in life. And life is work life, home life, or a combination of both. Some common mental health problems. 1 in 4 people will have a mental health problem in their lifespan. That's typical. I mean, we all go through things, very different things, okay? And they are common, and most of them are mild. Okay? They are not illnesses or disorders. So just remember that. These common mental health issues tend to be short-term, and with treatment or with talking to someone that knows about it, or a medical professional, they can or go away or you can control them. The most common, and I think that you all know, are anxiety and depression. And they are always reactions of grief, bereavement, trauma. Who has not had trauma in their lives? Traumatic events can be a death of somebody that you love and has been in an accident, suicide, which is another big trauma, especially in adolescents, or accidents. Car accidents, and they lose people. At this age, some of them will be losing a parent to an illness, grandparents, and it's their first loss. And they react to those things, and they react differently. So what really is anxiety? Who has not felt anxious at one time in your life? I mean, we all have that. It's a feeling of being extremely worried, very uneasy, and also very fearful most of the time. Some people find very, very difficult to control this weariness, okay? And if they are constant and can affect your daily life. Anxiety produces both physical and psychological symptoms. Now, anxiety for me, as I define it, is the fear of the future. And usually it's a fear of the future because you had past experiences and you kind of try to predict what's going to happen. So you're afraid of what's going to happen in the future. Now, the counterpart, which is the first degree cousin, as I call it, is depression. Okay? And what is depression? It's feeling sad and unhappy for a few days. When it's a disorder, it has to be months. Okay? And it stays with you, and you cannot shake it. Okay? It can cause a variety of symptoms. Your feelings can last for a long time, hopelessness, unhappiness, and you lose interest in what you used to enjoy. Sometimes people are very tearful, and they express their sadness by that. And the physical symptoms occur. I mean, you have sleep disorders, like for example, you can't sleep or you sleep too much. You lose appetite, you lose weight with that, your sex drive is lower, and you sometimes somatize that and you feel it in your body with aches and pains. As I mentioned before, depression and anxiety are first-degree cousins. They always come together. Why? Because depression for me is fear of the past. So it's the combination of both. Okay? Now, what is a severe mental health issue? That's a disorder. And a small amount of people can experience that. We hear it in the news all the time. I mean, think about the news. I mean, every night that I hear the news, somebody's shooting somebody. I mean, what's going on? And why are they doing it? Many times it's for drug dealing, and they kill each other. Sometimes it's anger. They don't know how to control the anger. Many of them are kind of psychopathic behaviors, I mean, kill for killing. That's a disorder. Okay? Some episodes of mania are very different, and that's the extreme of the anxiety, and it can come in different ways. You can have a heightened activity doing that all the time in extreme. Sometimes it comes with psychosis. Psychosis is the loss of reality, and you are hallucinating, you lose touch with reality, and then you distort the senses that you have with things. So let's recap here. What is stress? Okay. For me, it's a reaction of many events or experiences that one has, especially at work. I mean, how many of you are wearing so many hats right now? I mean, you are family members. You have to take care of children, spouse, house. That's a lot. Then you work, and if you are directors or you are a principal in a school or if you're managing a team, that's your responsibility. Under you there's a lot of people. And it doesn't end up being you the boss, because you have a boss too. You have to respond to somebody, even if it's a board of trustees. And that's tricky too, because you have to prove what you have done that is right. So it's events in your life or in your work, and a combination of both. There are people that also are taking care of their elderly parents, and that's a stressor too, big stressor. So another way to see it, stress anybody home? So the stress is how we feel, and usually it can be very overwhelming how we feel, and we don't know where to go. However, stress usually energizes us so we can resolve difficult situations. Sometimes we have to do that. The pressure makes you finish things, because if not, you carry them in your shoulders, and that's another stressor. So here, what I want is for you to think about you, okay, and how you can manage your own stress. We all have stress. So for me, it's important that you learn about you, and I think that Dr. Revilla put those things there so you can see where you put your stressors and how you are solving the problem there. I'm very surprised because in this class and the class yesterday comparing, people put that health is not a source of stress as not a main component, but a lot of people put that. And well, sometimes your health is producing you stress and you don't even know it. When you're sick or when you have a bad result of a test, and that is a stress too, because we are not thinking that we probably are going to be sick, and then what? You have a lot of responsibilities. So in that sense, I want you to take care of you. And then for me, the most important thing, and this is basically what I do with my clients, is teach them how to limit themselves. So especially at difficult times, you have to say no at some things. You have to delegate. You have to do other things so you can preserve your health and your mental health. So asking for help, it doesn't mean that you are weak. Asking for help can be a task of teaching somebody else to help you to do the work so it can be better for all of you and for the others. Okay, so body and mind. For me, there are two sides of the same coin. We have to take care of ourselves with our health, our nutrition, our sleep, and your mental health, your thoughts, your feelings, your desires, and always check in reality. Because it's easy to fantasize, it's easy to go somewhere else, but we do need to think in reality. Is this what I can do? Is this what I cannot do? I can accomplish this in so many days, but the deadline is too short. Can I talk to someone so it can reduce my stress level? Or can I delegate so somebody does this piece and somebody does this other piece? So think about that. That's your mental health. Some symptoms in your feelings. I mean, if we look at the list that I put here, who hasn't been anxious in their lifetime? I mean, for anything, you can be anxious. And I'm not talking about a disorder, okay? Who has not been scared at sometimes? I mean, an accident can scare you. The loss of a child in a mall can scare you to death. Not answering the phone of an elderly parent can scare you too. You can be irritable. I mean, why not? I mean, we react differently. We all are different. Some people react by going into a corner and being by themselves. Other people take it on other people, and you can be irritable. The thing is to control that irritability so you don't hurt others. And then you can be angry too. You can be angry at yourself, at others, at the situation, at the moment, at life. I mean, those are your feelings. You are expected to have feelings. Don't be ashamed to have them. It's just how you control them. And also not taking it to others. Your thoughts, I mean, when you are very stressed and you're not achieving the goal that you want, your self-esteem goes low. Who am I? Can I be not doing this? Am I an idiot? You're not an idiot. It's just that the stress is getting in the way. You fear of failure. I mean, if you all are doing doctoral degree, you all have a very high expectation of yourselves. And I commend that because it's difficult to come to a doctoral program. I mean, I went through mine 5 years and really was intense, really intense. And working, house, husband, and the doctoral program that has practicums and internships and research, it is a lot. And for you guys that are working, having a house family, it is a lot. So don't be afraid of failing. Failing is part of life. You learn more when you fail than when you don't. And I think I'm repeating myself to what I say to my students in the college, because they don't want to fail. They want A's in everything. And I remember in Peru taking classes with some professors, and they will say, A for God, B maybe for your mother, C for you, and the rest is history. So think about that. I mean, we are prone here, and I see it in the university, of giving A's to everybody. No, absolutely not. If you are not an A student, you need to know that you're a B student, and you need to progress more. So don't feel compelled that you have to get those A's if they don't deserve it. because life is hard, and you're not doing them a favor when you're giving the aid. And that's for everything. Unable to concentrate, that's another symptom of stress. I mean, you have too many things in your mind, and you're trying to juggle with the things, and nothing goes right because you cannot concentrate in one thing. So clean your desk, focus on one thing at a time. That's the most important thing. Sometimes if you have to do a presentation and you're too stressed out, you can embarrass yourself easily because you feel that you're not doing well. Kick yourself because you shouldn't be embarrassed. You are doing the best you can. Okay. To be excessively worried, yes, that happens when you're stressed out. You are pulled in many directions. I have to take my kid to a basketball game, and I have to do a presentation here, and then I have the team that I have to go on, and then my wife is in a medical setting because she has a doctor's appointment, and I need to be with her. I mean, how are you going to divide so many things? So just take the time to think about, okay, one at a time. It's better. Forgetfulness, I mean, I do that all the time. I am one of those persons that have my keys and leave them in any place in the house, and then I'm looking for them. I need one of those alarms that says, I'm here, wah, 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 so I can go get them. Or the other thing that I do is this, and I walk around the room and I'm wearing my glasses, and I know that I do that. So, well, it happens. Or I'm thinking in 3 dimensions, and I have to do 2, 3 things, and I'm doing the first one and I forgot the third one. So I have to sit down and say, okay, maybe a little piece of paper will remind me the next time, so I just write them out, and then I will not forget that I have to do them. Okay. Stress also can produce some physiological symptoms. Who has not felt this, at least one of those? Perspiration. I mean, when you're very stressed out, you transpire or perspirate heavily. With that, you lose water of your system, your mouth becomes dry, and you get a lot of tiredness. Okay. Sometimes you get your heart beating like a palpitation. The extreme are the panic attacks. That's a disorder. Okay. When you get a panic attack, you become very frightened because it looks like a heart attack, but it's not, and it will go in seconds. But you get very scared about that. Your heartbeat can beat very rapidly, and you can feel it. Some people tremble. I mean, think about putting your hands like this, and then, because you're anxious or stressed out, tremble. Nervous tics. I know that when I am very stressed out, this eye starts beep, 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 going like that. And that's stress. And sometimes you don't notice that you have that stress because you're doing things. But I notice in me that it goes, okay, I need to slow down. Okay. You can get very tired easily, and the reason why you get tired easily is because your energy is going on trying to prevent feeling like this. Of course, you will urinate more, you will go frequently to the bathroom, and that's another way of dehydrating yourself, so water is important. For women, premenstrual tension can produce a lot of stress too. Diarrhea, vomit, some people are so constrained with stress that they feel butterflies in their stomach, they feel nauseated, and the worst is that they vomit or go to the bathroom with a stomach problem. Headaches. I don't know about you all, but I get headaches when I'm very stressed out. And the reason why is because I tend to clench, and my neck and my shoulders start to be very, very tense. Losing and gaining weight, that's normal when you're very stressed out. Some people eat more, some people don't eat, okay? In my case, when I was in school, I didn't eat. Now I eat. So I have to watch what I eat. You're more susceptible to illnesses, and that's because your immune system goes down when you're stressed. And how many of you have been very stressed with work, school, and a lot of other things, and then when the semester ends and you have a break, boom, you have the flu, you have the cold. Your body's asking you, let's rest. That's your body screaming at you. You need to go to bed and sleep. Okay. Okay. And the behaviors, the stuttering, the speech difficulties, and how many have seen kids that they are anxious or stressed out and they stutter. They cannot put the words completely together. Relaxing them will help them. But if you do that, relax yourself too. Crying with no reason. There are people that cry for no reason, and there are people that cry for reasons. But when you're very stressed out and you touch the person, they just melt. It's a really impulsive behavior, but it comes out because that's the way that you respond to stress. Starving easily, I do that all the time. I have a husband that walks on cotton, I think. I never hear him coming into the house. And he teaches until 10 o'clock, and he comes at that time, and I'm usually doing his dinner, and I'm completely in another world, and he comes in and says, hello, and the pots and the pans go all flying around, because I get startled. But that's the product of my stress, not him. He's very calm, hello. Laughing nervously, how many of you can laugh nervously when you are kind of stressed out? I mean, that happens too. Grinding your teeth. How many of you grind your teeth? Yesterday in the class that is, I think it's your cohort too, or people from the same program, there was one woman that was saying that at the beginning she was not grinding her teeth, she was biting her lips. And then afterwards she started grinding her teeth. That's another way of containing yourself. Some people smoke and they increase the smoking, or they use drugs or alcohol so they can calm themselves. That's called self-medication. And then accident prone, I'm the queen of that. When I am stressed out, I don't see the corners of anything. So I get these big blotches of hematomes. And then in my experience, one day I was in my medical doctor's office and I was having my annual, and she looked at one in my leg, and she said, you know, if there's domestic violence in your house, you can tell me and we can help you. And I looked at her and said, Christine, that was her name, you know what, if there's gonna be domestic violence in the house, it's me that I will beat up my husband. He wouldn't dare touch me. And then I explained to her, I run around corners and I get those blotches. But it's funny because people think that you might be violently treated at home, and my husband is not like that. I don't know if you can read that, I can't. I should have to change that.
Mental health problems, stress can exist.
Stress and yeah. Mental health problems can be independent from stress. Sometimes stress can produce a little bit more of an increase in the mental health issue, but it's not correlated. Okay, there's no correlation about it. Sometimes they add a little bit on it. Your work-related things can add stress. And it can add your blood pressure can be higher when you have too much stress. Also, without anxiety and depression, it can happen. I mean, you don't need to have anxiety and depression to have high blood pressure, for example. What else? The key difference, as always, is the cause and the way of mental health and stress can be treated. You can treat both of them. Okay. It is very difficult to distinguish one from the other. Sometimes they come together, sometimes they are totally different. But the disorders in mental health, you can diagnose them. I mean, we are trained to diagnose them, especially in the length that they occur in your lifespan. Okay? How do they go related, stress and mental health problems together? They can be similar. For example, the loss of appetite. Depression, for example, and tearfulness can come in depression, tearfulness, and the loss of appetite can come together. So sometimes it's very difficult to differentiate them. Again, the work-related stress can aggravate the existing mental health problems, okay? And they are very difficult to control. They can trigger mental health problems, yes. And the work-related stress may result in mental health problems when they are long-term and may cause permanently injury to the sufferer. Okay.
Also, that last point, the work-related stress that can result in mental health problems, that's important for leaders and managers to know that the work environment could be, depending on what's happening, could be detrimental to somebody in that environment under the charge or the care of the leader.
Yes,
and really has to be addressed.
When you're a leader, you also, we're going to touch that later. I think it is important that you realize that when there's a mental health problem, there's a need for referring your employee or the person on the team that needs more help outside of yours. And that's where the limits and the boundaries come around. Because you are not going to save that person, you are not going to cure that person, that's not your role. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit into the next slides. So how to reduce stress? Stress can be changed or minimized, but you are never going to get rid of it, because we do need stress so we can move forward. It is the energy to balance our lives. So it's a way of balancing your life and your stress so you can move on. What you can do as a leader in management, remember you are a role model, always. If you're in front of people, you are a role model. Never forget that. Start with you. It is the most important thing. If you are going to be a model, you need to know how to control your own stress. Help improving conditions at work for you and for your peers or your team. Why? Because there are people that cannot do things because they have disabilities. There are people that cannot work at your own pace because they are different. I mean, there are people that operate from the right side of the brain or the left side of the brain. You need to know your team. You need to know what their issues are so you can help them be better. And then find the adequate adjustments for yourself and for your team, and how to get care for you and for them.
Dr. Arce, can we just ask, maybe for a show of hands, how many of you as leaders have had situations where you've had to deal with stress or mental health issues with subordinates or persons within your care? Wow, almost.
I think everybody.
Anybody want to share an example? Or, without violating any confidentiality, of course. You want to share an example?
I can share one right now that I'm dealing with. I have an intern, she's finishing her master's level in social work. And she came to work with us last September, and she's very good in what she does. She's doing 2 master's degrees, one in public health and the other one in social work. She's a very intelligent woman, but in working with her, she's a know-it-all. And my staff is picking up on that. And I picked on that, but I didn't say anything. I supervise her completely. And I supervise her directly. And she knows it all. She interrupts every session that we have in supervision case consultations. Her way is the highway, no way is the other way. And we are a team. We're a team of 9. And everybody has a different opinion. And when we bring those things in the table, I listen to all of them because they bring something to all of us, and we learn from each of us. But it's like she has a barrier. This is my way. And so I talk to her privately, of course, but she has this tweak that she does. Today, she sends me an email, which I hate. I like ear-to-ear, face-to-face conversations. And she's doing her master's thesis, which is not part of my program. And today they have training from 1:30 to 5. And it's a must that they attend, because they do a case presentation, and each of them have to present a case, and it's respectful for them to be there to listen to their peers present a case. We have a small staff meeting, housekeeping things, and then in the afternoon, they have a session with a professional from outside that talks about what they do, and mainly is in therapeutic work. So she decides to send me an email at 10:30 and telling me, I'm very anxious because I'm not done with my work for my thesis. And I think I'm going to bail out from this afternoon. Of course, I want to strangle her, but I cannot do that. So my response was, when you are telling me those things, please call me. I need to talk to you. I do not put it in writing. That's another thing. Be careful. Document for you, but never on email. Email is a document and also can be a liability, okay? So please call me, I want to talk to you. An hour passes and she calls me and she explains to me what's going on. I said to her, you are here with a contract, because I made them sign a contract, and these are the days that you have to be here. Your thesis can be done in all the other days, but you have to be here at this time, at this day. So think about it, but this is my response to you. And for the next time, you call me. Okay, Dr. Arce. An hour later, she was in my office. But you have to do that, because it's difficult to say it, but you have to draw the line. And we're going to talk about boundaries in the next one. You have to draw the line and say no in a good way, not insulting them. And my staff knew about it, and separately they came, even my assistant, my secretary, comes to me and says, she's getting on my nerves. And I said, okay, I'll handle it, you don't worry. I don't want the others to be picking on her. I mean, it's February now. She's going to stay there until mid-April. It's almost done. But if she continues with this behavior, the recommendation letter is going to be very, very skinny, because I cannot put my recommendation on somebody that is not doing the work as she's supposed to. Her difficulty is being reflective, listening to others, and respecting others. And that's her problem. That's something that she probably needs to look into and treat herself. Because the level of what we call narcissism is very high, and she's not opening up to others that can be even better than her. Okay? So that's my example.
Anybody else want to share?
Okay, so going back, this is my best tool for me. Setting limits and respecting boundaries. I mean, first of all, you have the power of saying no. And that is very important, because you can't do everything. You have to draw the line. If not, you will not be able to do everything. It's okay. Be realistic and choose your battles. That's one thing that I learned too. I mean, don't fight for every little thing. If you're gonna fight for every little thing, your energy level is gonna go down, and your stress level is gonna go so high. So there are things that you just have to overlook or leave them for later. Let them accumulate. I mean, it's February now almost, and I have been feeling with this woman what I was feeling for a long time. And I took this opportunity to talk to her. This is your, and also I said to her, you have to respect that your peer is coming and talking about her case. That's the main thing, and you have to listen. Prioritize and organize yourself. That's very easy to say, very difficult to do when you have so many things to do, but try to put them in a scale and see what's better for you, what's not better for you. Be flexible so you can learn better. and learn to delegate. That's important too. If you have assistants in the classes, if you have other professors or other people that are helping, make them join. They will feel that they are part of a team. You're a leader, and you can teach them how to do it well. And if they don't do it well, you can teach them to redo it. Don't let them go without redoing it, because that's the only way that they can learn. Okay. And then have fun. That's the most important thing. Okay, taking care of your body, our physical side, your health, as I mentioned before, it's the appropriate medical checkups that you have to do. Take care of yourself. Your nutrition, I'm not saying that you shouldn't eat once in a while pizza, like I'm gonna go there and grab one too. But be balanced. Everyday pizza is not good. Sleep. Sleep is the best break that your body can have. It's the most important one. And exercise. I know that exercise cannot sometimes fit in our schedules, but even walking is good. I'm not saying when it's freezing that you should go and run the marathon. I am not one of those. I swim, yes, twice a week, and I walk a lot. I like to walk, and that's my exercise. I think it's good for you, it's healthy, and try. How to address your stress? Your time needs to be managed effectively. That's very important. Create yourself deadlines that are realistic. As I said before, don't think that you can do everything at once. You can't. Nobody can. Change your habits. I mean, if you go to work in one way, try to change the route. It's good for you. Be flexible. It is important for you to be flexible. Try not to do work when you are supposed to be sleeping, because that's when your body needs it more. If you override it, the next day you are out. I like to operate in a clean desk. I have a husband that loves to operate in a very dirty, messy desk. I don't know how he does it. It's his own thing. I don't try not to look at it. I turn around. I don't want to see it. But I do want my desk a little bit cleaner. Exercise, as I said to you, good diet. Try to decrease sugar and caffeine. Those are the ones that get you more stressed out. I heard that 2 cups of coffee is good in the morning until 2 o'clock. After that, it produces you jittering and a little bit of nervousness. Laugh. Jokes are good jokes, not laughing of others or about others. Relax. Sometimes massages are really good, especially in your neck and your shoulders. Get help if you can. And plan a vacation time. I'm not saying that you should go around the world because it's very expensive, but maybe you can go to another town and just go for a walk, just a day trip. That will clear your head. You can go somewhere else and see other things. Okay. How to help those in need? Because you're a leader, you are going to manage people, and people have conditions, many, from very simple to very extreme ones. So, as a leader, take into account the following. You may have employees who experience mental health issues. I, as a counselor, experience a lot of people with very different mental health issues, and from very extreme to very low. Going my worst case, and I talked to the class, yesterday's class about this, I had a woman from Africa that was laying down in her bed, almost unconscious. And the Residence Life people called me, and they didn't even dare to get in, not even our police officers dared to get in. When I got, it's a building of 4 floors. When I got out of the elevator, the odor that came from the floor was horrible. I thought she was dead. And I asked my police officers, is she okay? And she said, we don't know, we haven't touched her. She was laying in bed, and because she's African people have this kind of a covers that they put that are very light because it's very hot in Africa. So they cover their bodies with that, and she was wrapped around that, and completely, and she didn't move. I had to unwrap her and touch her pulse, and she was alive, but she has been there for 5 days, laying in bed, so you can imagine what the others were. We took her to the hospital, and she was hospitalized in a psychiatric hospital from October to March, which is a long time, especially for our hospitals and in the city. And we kind of team up with a team that was psychiatrically taking care of her, and she was able to finish her degree. She was a master's in accounting. This was around 5 years ago, and 2 years ago, my secretary comes and says, Blah wants to see you. And, he said a name that I didn't recognize. I see so many people that maybe I forgot. So I came out, and it was her. And I couldn't recognize her. She was on a suit. Her hair was very nicely pulled. She has an attaché. She got an attaché. She came to my office and she said, I just want to let you know that I'm working part-time in Mellon Bank and the Bank of New York Mellon. And because she's disabled, they allow her to work part-time. And I'm living in a halfway house with 3 other women with my condition. And we have a nurse, a psychiatric nurse that comes and regulates our medication. And the reason why I'm here is because I wanted to thank you. If you were not the one that put me in the hospital, and I had to involuntarily commit her because she was not reacting to anything, I will never have been here. And she was coming from a country where her parents were elderly and they live in a hut. So if we send her back, and I suspect that she was a refugee. That's why she was here. But look at her, with her disability, being from another country. They spoke French in her country, and her English was a little accented. She was able to recuperate. She was able to work in a bank as an accountant, part-time, yes. But she was able to come to me later and thank me, and that, for me, was the most wonderful reward that I got. Not that she was giving money to somebody else, but that she was coming back and saying, look, this is who am I right now. So it is a very nice story, and I have it in my heart because this girl put effort to it, and it is difficult when you see a person with a mental difficulty that is invalidating what they can do later. If they get a good treatment, they can produce a lot more than what you think. Okay, so early action. I don't know if mine was an early action because I didn't know that she was catatonic at the time. But I think that putting her in the hospital was the best option for her at that time. So early action can help prevent very difficult situations in your cases. So if you have a person that has a mental disorder and needs or is disabled and conditions that you can help them manage and you can help them get where you need them to be and be realistic, they can help you in the work that you're doing as a team leader. Now, there are people that have mental health conditions and they don't want to talk to you. So the best way is in a very soft language, say to them, I'm interested in helping you. Maybe it's not me directly that I'm going to help you, but there are professionals, there are counselors, there should be EAP programs for workers. So send them to Human Resources, send them to the EAP, or probably when they have their orientation, they get a package with what are the benefits that come around with your work. If it's on you, do reasonable adjustments. I have another intern that has two kids that are 5 and under, and they get out of daycare around 4 o'clock. She has asked me if she can come at 8 o'clock and leave by 3:30. How can I not do that? She has to go and pick up their kids. I mean, so she starts at 8, and she's my best intern. I mean, she carries a load of 18 clients a week, and she's 4 days there, from 8 to 3:30. So why not accommodate? I mean, if you know that they're going to give them to. okay? Those are reasonable adjustments too, and those are the ones that you have to do. Now, if they want to fly in the Apollo thing to the moon, no, I'm not going to give them that. Absolutely not. Okay. How to manage a worker or an employee that is tearful and upset? For me, I take them to a private space and I talk to them and try to make them communicate with me what is wrong and be sensitive with them. It can be that there's a death in the family you didn't know. It can be that a parent is dying and you don't know. I mean, it could be anything. And the most important is stay calm. You are the one that is receiving the information and you need to think quick, but also sensitively. Okay? Take time to think about the options that you can provide for that person so you can help them. And try to see if it's an urgent issue or an emergent issue. Try to differentiate those. And of course, encourage them to seek help. It could be from anybody, family support, counselors, EAPs, medical practitioner, anybody. I mean, whatever the problem is, you can help them solve. This is very tricky, managing a person with an ongoing illness. I don't know if you have family members that have mental health illnesses. It's very difficult to live with people. It's very difficult to manage a person that has a mental disorder. Bipolar disorder and schizophrenia are the most difficult for me. The same with borderline personality disorders. Many times, in my experience, bipolar disorder people and schizophrenics start treatment, and because of the medication, they don't want to feel how they are. And in my case, in my students, especially the artist ones and the creative writing people, they don't want to take medication because they think that their creativity goes out the window. And that's not true. It's just at the beginning because the medication makes them a little lethargic. But it's better than if they are hearing voices about killing themselves or killing others. It's better than hallucinating, seeing people, which makes them more anxious and more stressed out. And in bipolar disorder, we have to balance them because it can be mania or depression or a combination of both. And when they're manic, you don't want to be around. It's like a tornado, and that happens. How many of you have kids that are in your classes that have ADHD or ADD? It's kind of like that. And if they are not medicated, they are like a volcano. They go everywhere. Now, unfortunately, people are, practitioners over-medicate kids that are a little bit more in the excitement of being, moving around. Not all of them have ADHD, not all of them have ADD, but when they have it, it is a problem. It is a problem to manage in the class, and themselves, they feel horribly too. Okay? Try to be a little bit flexible and also suit the health needs that they have. Remember, discrimination can happen, especially with a mental ill person, and that is punished by law. So just be careful. I mean, try not to discriminate them. Guidance and support. There's always support available, especially for those that have a mental health issue. Okay. And there are a lot of specialists in this area. We are lucky to have several hospitals, and Western Psych is one of them. It's very close. And then we have satellites. There's a community of providers that you can go in any of the insurance companies and ask for guidance and support from them. The good thing is that, and my advice is to research what they're doing, because there are quacks everywhere. And in psychiatry, psychologists, counselors, the more experience they have, the better it is. Okay. Take action early, that's important, because if not, the problem explodes, okay? And you can help yourself, but seeking the help that you need or the help for others. You as a leader are the one that is going to identify the problems probably first. So you need to take action with that. And of course, you have to report to another person, a manager up. So if you coordinate with them and communicate, it will be easier for you. Don't take it all in your shoulders because it's a lot. Some things to remember. Stress does not affect everyone in the same way. You can make adjustments, and you as an employer can make modifications that can alleviate some stress, not only for you, but for your employees. And communication and discussions for me are the best way to know what's going on.
A question. You mentioned earlier that youngsters, young girls will manifest stress in certain ways than young boys will. In your practice, do you see that manifestation differ for adult men versus adult women?
Right now, and I think that all of you are going through this too with the non-binary and the transgender issues that are presenting in colleges and high schools with the gender all-inclusive in one bathroom and all that. We are more open to see different behaviors in either gender and also in the people that are transgendering or having those kinds of feelings. In general, that is what happened. Girls are more emotional and express emotions more in their sleeve. Boys are more, I don't want to say aggressive, but they express more aggression when they are feeling those emotions. Part of it can be cultural, that we want boys to be more keeping their feelings in, and the girls being able to more express more. There's no other way to put it, but the females come more to counseling than the males in my college. We have around 75%, almost 80% of females as clients. The college where I work, the university is co-ed and has both programs, undergrad and grad, and we became co-ed 2 years ago. And we are seeing more and more men right now, but we also have a good population of people that are in the non-binary continuum. So that's going to change too. Everything's changing. Remember, we're humans, we're dynamic, we change. I don't know the response to why, but we help them all. And depending on how they are feeling. Some men are more emotional right now than females. Some females are much more keeping their emotions right now. That's what I want to try to explain, because we are in a changing generation right now. Okay?
Just, a question based on experience and observation. If women tend to be more expressive and maybe to seek out help or talk either with, a friend, a therapist, or anyone, does that mean that men may be more susceptible to not
I don't think so.
addressing their stressors, or?
It could be that they don't want to feel vulnerable and weak, but nowadays I think that more and more they are coming and looking for the help. It's a different generation, as I said. In the past, when I was in graduate school, it was completely what I said before, girls and boys, very separate. Right now, I can see that males can have more sensitivity. And it could be, depending on what they're studying, some of the artists and English majors are more sensitive to talking about their feelings and expressing them. And the science people, for example, are more to keep inside. The physical therapists are more to keep inside. They're more rational. So it depends. Now, my women that are in the PA program, in the graduate level, they can get very emotional, and they react to stress very different. So yes and no, we are in a generation that is changing right now. Okay, yes.
Have there been studies to correlate, I don't know specifically men, but maybe historically, leadership positions with higher rates of mental health issues? Like I think your high achievers or your risk takers or your notable CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, those are the ones that, and maybe just due to their positions, they may receive more of the limelight when those destructible behaviors or ways to sort of self-medicate, whether it's addiction or relationships or any of those things. Is there?
There's a lot of that, especially in certain professions, like for example lawyers, medical physicians.
All right, I have 3 daughters, so don't marry lawyers. What else?
Depending if you're a CEO or a techie company on the top, there are different ways. If you are a physician, a psychiatrist in a top position, the pressure of the work also makes them have a lot of stressors, and it's easier to go to the bottom than to go to the shrink. But what we try to do is educate them so they can go to the shrink. In the long run, it will cost less. Your liver is not going to be damaged, your memory is not going to be affected, and you are not going to lose your position. Because that happens too. I mean, when you act out because of stressors, alcohol or whatever. I mean, it could be that your sex drive is completely out of whack and you look for prostitutes, and that can get you in so much trouble. So, because you're not thinking about the consequence, you are thinking about how to alleviate immediate.
Escape.
Yeah, the escape. And it's quick, yes, but it has consequences later. We are not here in this earth to live forever, and going by the 50-year-old, you know that it's coming down, it's not going up, And sometimes there are family issues to get involved, because you are dedicated to that responsibility, and you neglect your family and your spouse, and you seek for other things that can compensate within your schedule. It happens. So my recommendation is if any of you go through that route, seek help. The help is available, and it's cheaper than the consequences that you can get. And I'm not saying that you're not going to have it. Many people have it. But if you recognize that you're having that problem, help yourselves. Don't be afraid. We don't bite. We listen, and we are very non-judgmental. Okay.
I just want to respond to that. In the research that I've been doing most recently, particularly with men, is that the men, and you can say, Elsa, if this is your experience or not, but men who tend to fare better, who aren't self-medicating with, drugs, alcohol, other kind of destructive behaviors, the men who tend to fare better are those with a network system of relationships and supports. So, men tend to have like kind of a brotherhood. You've got, usually men will have some good friends or, that they can talk to. And anywhere along the continuum from a good friend through, seeking, more kind of aggressive therapy to address whatever. But the relationships seem to be the real key. So you're not in isolation, but you've got to have some kind of a relationship there to help support during crisis or.
It's the connection with others that can hold you and fill the void of the emptiness that sometimes you feel when you are so stressed and have so many things to do and to accomplish. So if you talk to your peers or to your family, and that works fantastic. But if you go in the continuum to a higher end, which is a distorted behavior, that's when I'm suggesting the counseling piece. Or if you're alone, many times in this country, and I see it often, is that you get a job here and you move and you're alone, or it's you and your nuclear family. That's the way it is here. In my country, you stay in the city and you stay in the city forever, and then you have cousins and sisters and brothers, and then the friends of your cousins become your cousins. Everybody calls out everybody, and the support system is really huge. In here, your parent can be in California and you're in Pittsburgh. And then when do you see them? You see them Christmas, Thanksgiving, and maybe family vacations 1 week. But it's not the constant thing, you know. So that's why the counseling piece is very important, because it's a way of communicating with somebody so you can feel that emptiness that sometimes make you act out.
Maybe this is a good time before we get to maybe some strategies, just to open it up for some discussion and questions,
Any questions?
reactions to any of this.
No?
Now, two main themes have been the self-care, the self-awareness, taking care of yourself, and then your role as leaders, managers, in the care of others within your organization or department or school, whatever the case may be.
And for me, the success of for example, my interns and my staff, their success is my success, because I'm the leader. If anything happens, I am to blame for. So I want them content. I want them to be able to give 100% or 150%, but I'm also willing to give 150% to them so they can achieve that. And in order for me to do that, I have to take care of me. That's why the swimming, that's why the painting, that's why I take vacations. Don't get your vacations paid. Go on vacations. Even if it's just 5 days, 2 days, 1 day, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you need a mental health day. And it's normal. You are so overwhelmed. Just to sleep, to eat well. Reward yourselves. It is important.
The warm-up exercise that you did before Dr. Arce started, the self-identification of your stressors and levels, and then your self-identification of your strategies. What was the little takeaway to that? I mean, have you thought about that? Do you think about that at all? You know, where does your stress come from as a leader or a family person, and what do you do about it that are the healthy strategies? You know, the healthy strategies to take care of yourself.
Seems interesting that the results are grouped somewhat.
Yeah, I didn't
It would seem, yeah, people seem to have the same stressors and the same ways of dealing with it, really. Or
Some of
similar.
the blocks have clusters.
Yeah, there are clusters. School and personal are sources of high level of stress, and work. Not enough time.
What's this one over here? There's a lot of marks. Oh, not enough time.
Not enough. Well, that's very common. I don't have enough time. I will like to live 2 lives so I can do all the things that I would like to be learning. There's not enough time. And also there's not enough money. So I would like to travel more, but I can't. Okay, if there's no more questions, I would like to do some exercises with you so you can take home and to your office, because you can do them in your office, and they don't take too much time. And
For that exercise,
Yeah,
for the
okay.
exercises, I'm going to ask Dr. Arce just to come around and maybe stand here so all of you can hear her as she kind of guides you through just three
because my
strategies.
voice goes low, and it's typical for me. So I'm going to do certain exercises with you. Let me just go around. Yeah, I'm gonna stand here.
Bigger, huh?
No, that's fine.
I didn't do, I did the presentation.
Everybody can see me. Okay. The first is a breathing exercise. I think that you all know what yoga is about, and the basis of yoga is breathing. I am not a contortionist, and I will never do yoga with my head on the floor and my legs up. But I do like the breathing exercises because they really relax. And when I am very, very stressed out and I cannot sleep at night, I lay down in my bed and I breathe. And after counting 7 breaths, I'm out. So try to do it. If you do it permanently, it works. If you don't do it, then it's not gonna work, okay? So right now what I need for you is to put your feet flat on the floor, sit up straight, put your hands on your lap, and close your eyes. You're just going to breathe. Believe me, I'm not going to start. Okay, so when I talk to you, I want you to breathe very deeply, inhale in your air, and then exhale in your air. And we'll do 5 exercises. Okay, the first one, I want to hear you inhale your air. So inhale your breathing, and exhale. And once again, inhale, and exhale. And inhale, and exhale. And inhale, and exhale. And the last time, inhale, and exhale. Okay, you can open your eyes and keep your feet flat on the floor. We're going to do some exercises while you're sitting. And just follow my instructions. These are very easy and you can do it in your desk when you are feeling a little bit stressed out. So turn your face to the right and then to the middle and to the left and again to the middle. And then go down, and to the middle, and then up, and to the middle. I want you to stretch your arms as far as you can. And now to the back, as far as you can. And to the side without kicking your peers. As far as you can. Put yourself to the front. Sit down straight. Your elbow to the right or to the left, wherever you want. And then the other one. And your 2 arms embracing you. And give yourself a pat in the back because you're worth it. Okay? And then the last one is a relaxation technique that I have been using for years, and people love it, and I love it too. So I'm going to be reading some phrases. I want you to sit up straight again, feet on the floor, close your eyes, and just follow me, my instructions, okay? Close your eyes. You have placed your arms in your lap and your feet flat on the floor. And right now I'm going to read you a series of phrases to aid your relaxation. After each phrase, repeat the phrase mentally to yourself. Allow yourself to feel what the phrase suggests to you. Now I will begin. I feel quite quiet. I am beginning to feel quite relaxed. My feet, my ankles, my knees, and my hips feel heavy, relaxed, and comfortable. The whole central portion of my body feels relaxed and quiet. My hands, my arms, and my shoulders feel heavy, relaxed, and comfortable. My neck, my jaws, and my forehead feel relaxed. They feel comfortable and smooth. My whole body feels quiet, comfortable, and relaxed. My whole body is relaxed and my hands are warm. My whole body feels heavy, warm, and relaxed. My legs and feet are heavy and warm. My whole body is relaxed and my feet are warm. My feet are warm. My whole body feels quiet, comfortable, and relaxed. My mind is quiet. My thoughts are turned inward and I am at ease. Deep within myself, I can visualize and experience myself as relaxed, comfortable, and still. My mind is calm and quiet. My mind is clear and refreshed. I feel an inward quietness. Since you are deeply relaxed, it is important to become active again, but do it slowly. Take a slow, deep breath and start wiggling your fingers and toes, and at your own pace, open your eyes. Okay. Questions?
Can we have a copy of that?
The PowerPoint presentation, Dr. Rivera is going to put it in.
I can put the PowerPoint on Blackboard.
Yeah,
And
and
I can send this for you guys to have it. You can do it with your kids.
Shh, tell me when it's 9:30.
That's the best compliment I got. Any questions, anything that you want to know, that need to know? Yes.
Do you believe in hypnosis?
For some aspects of things, yes. I will not follow the hypnosis that is commercialized. There are people that are trained. West Virginia University has a specialist in hypnosis, and he does training there. And especially for trauma, it's very good. Trauma meaning sexual abuse, sexual assault, incest. I do believe in that. I will not use it for other things other than what is needed.
So it wouldn't be good for like quitting smoking or something like that?
Sometimes what happens is that hypnosis relaxes you as well. So for quitting smoking, it can be a tool. I'm not saying that it's the tool. The best way to quit smoking, because I was a smoker at one time in my life, is cold turkey. You suffer, but really it's better. You will replace it with food though. Because your taste buds are more prone to taste. With a cigarette, you're kind of numb. And yes, you lose weight, you're gonna gain weight. But then there's exercise and good diet, so there are alternatives. Any other questions?
There's a big push, and a lot of school districts have already incorporated mindfulness into their curriculum.
Absolutely, in every school.
If you were to describe what you would define as the exemplary program, something that's realistic and logistical and fiscally responsible, is there a model out there that you would say exists?
Mindfulness comes from the yoga precepts, and and going back to hypnosis, dental, they use hypnosis a lot. I have taken many classes in mindfulness, and it makes you relax, really, especially for people that are very anxious, and overachievers are anxious. Medical school, law schools, that's why they are incorporating that dental school. I mean, it's extensively deep in what they are training and what their schedules are. If you think about residents in medical school, they don't sleep. I'm afraid to go and be seen by a resident in the emergency room because I don't know if he has not slept for 3 days. You know, that happens. Mindfulness for me is a tool. it comes from the yoga, but you have to incorporate it because you cannot deny that there's genetics incorporated in a mental disorder, environment, social culture. I mean, culture is important. Right now, I have a student that we hospitalized last night, and she comes from a Filipino culture. They don't believe in medication. The parents are against us because we put her in the hospital. But this kid is not doing well. And I think that mindfulness is going to be good for her because she has obsessive compulsive symptoms, and the mindfulness is going to relax her in that sense. So everything has a meaning, everything has a place that you can work with. For example, psychoanalysis. I was trained in psychoanalysis in Peru, and I came here and I was supervised by an analyst. But it's a framework that is very rigid in some things, and it's not for everybody. So you have to gather from different schools to see what the patient or the person needs. More and more people are using mindfulness in programs because it relaxes the stressors of their students, and they want them to take them with them for their careers. Anybody else? Ask me. What I know I can tell, what I don't know I'll tell you. I don't know.
Like we did an assembly.
So for mindfulness to work well in a district, you kind of have to change the whole culture of everything. It has so many different parts to it. Like you have to set the atmosphere and
Well, but you
teach
you can try it in a class, in just one class.
Okay.
For example, homeroom. You know, let's all close our eyes, and kind of my exercise is kind of a mindfulness exercise.
Right.
You know, or a breathing exercise. So you can change the culture little by little. You are not going to change the whole culture.
Right.
Because then you will be doing mindfulness and all day long, and you can't do that in
Right.
school. Yeah, so try step by step, and there are times in which you need them more when the kids are very, I don't know, agitated. That's when you, sleep time in nurseries
Right.
happen for a reason.
Right.
You know, you need to put them to sleep.
Yeah.
Because if not, they go bananas.
Right.
Speedy Gonzalez, you have 30 kids like that. oh,
Screaming,
God.
yeah.
Anybody else? It's nice to find out what it is. I mean, I enjoy the classes. I don't use mindfulness for every client, as I don't do dynamic work with every
Right.
client, depending on the client.
Yeah.
It's a different world. Okay, anybody else? Well, my email is in the PowerPoint. If you download it, you can have it. You can ask me questions. I'm more than welcome to do that. Thank you.
Dr. Arce, thank you so much for coming down to Twin Park again, and this is a small little gift, and you'll be getting a check too, but this is just legal tender. Yeah.
What's the book?
Oh, Point Park.
It's great quotes from great leaders.
Oh, nice.
Well, I
Thank
hope
you.
that you found this beneficial, if nothing else, just to raise awareness of self-awareness as a leader, your own levels and sources of stress, your strategies, and the importance of you being a role model and taking care within boundaries of those who report to you or who are in your buildings, whether it's students or teachers, administrators. So thank you very much.
I think it's
And-
interesting, sorry.
Go ahead, no.
I think it's interesting because I was just telling Dave, and we talk about, working with our students, our staff, our colleagues, but I think probably the biggest challenge is we face a lot of parents who have mental illnesses. And, whether, that's keyboard courage or, Facebook or coming in, interacting with you in appropriate ways. I think that's probably one of our biggest challenges with
And
the
I put
mental
it to
side.
you because I just was working with a parent, her daughter was not going to classes, and she called my office and wanted to speak with her counselor by phone to get a referral for a psychiatrist. And the parent had called 3 weeks ago saying to my assistant very inappropriately that she wanted me to fire the psychiatrist that I work with. Because the psychiatrist called her a helicopter parent. Now, figure this out. She calls my office, tells my assistant
proved
to
it.
fire the psychiatrist. And hello, you're not a helicopter parent, you're a loan owner. That's what you are. So the short story is that the kid was not doing well, and she didn't want to tell the parents because the parents are intrusive. And she's 20 years old, and she didn't want to come to counsel, but she was 5 days in her room. And that for me is a sign that she's not doing well. Missing classes, no for me. If you're in college, you're paying a lot of money to be in college, and your work is going to classes, attending classes. So finally, the mother comes to me after we hospitalized her. The mother, she was discharged, and then the parents wanted to meet with me. Apparently the kid said to them that I took her to the hospital, but she didn't know that she was going to the psychiatric hospital. You're depressed. You're not taking your medication. You have 5 days inside your room and not seeing anybody, not eating. I am going to take you to the hospital. It's a lot of responsibility. So when the parents met with me, I explained to them why I took her to the hospital, and the mother even said to me, I wanted to fire, I called you and I wanted you to fire this psychiatrist because she is not giving the appropriate medication to my daughter. How does she know if it's not appropriate or not? I mean, physicians, especially psychiatrists, and this psychiatrist has worked with me 15 years, they balance the medication to not over-medicate, and that's why they see that. But the parents think that they know more, and that's what you're thinking. And the media allows them to read halfway through things, and they think that they know, instead of reflecting and listening to you as you are the expert in the class, you are the expert in the school of what's going on. After talking to them and validating the husband was really nice, and he even said she needs a mandated a medical leave. I turned around and I said, listen to him, he has his head on his shoulders. You are not going to classes, you need a medical leave. You're wasting time, energy, money. This is a parenthesis in your life. You get a medical leave for this semester, but then you can come back in the fall and you'll be well, if you are doing it. Now the student is in the intensive outpatient program, which is 3 times a week. Then she got a little part-time job, and that's fine, and then she will come back next semester. But now the mother is my best friend, and they went back to the psychiatrist. So,
But, it's interesting, after we were on a break last night, but one of the students in last night's class came up and said that exact same thing. He said, one of the biggest, and I didn't put it up there but it's dealing with parents. Some of you are shaking your heads that sometimes dealing with the parents are some of the biggest challenges and stressors. And that's probably another
yeah, and it's not only in schools, high schools and elementary school, it's also in college. And in college, I was raised that if you go to college, you're responsible for yourself. Well, now I have to attend the parents too. And after 18 years old, I have to abide by principles of confidentiality. And I cannot talk. So they get angry with me because I play stupid. I really play stupid. My child is coming and she's telling me, I said, talk to your child. I can't talk to you if I don't have a consent. And if she's not in imminent danger, I don't have to call you. This girl was not in imminent danger. She was depressed. She needed to be in a consult in a place where they can evaluate her better. But I cannot pick up the phone and call a parent. That's not my deal. If the dean wants to do it, because she found out that she's in the hospital, that's fine, the dean can do it. But I am a psychologist. I have to abide by certain laws. In your cases, yes, I can understand, because the parents are lone owners, they are not helicopter right now. And they give too much to the kids, especially phones. I will take away the phones in 2 seconds, just for emergencies. Because they get into trouble very easily. And they imitate behaviors that's why the shootings, that's why a lot of things that happen now. Everything's at the tip of their fingers. They don't even study well because by Googling, they get a lot of answers. And their brains are not thinking. They're copying.
because of stress and anxiety.
All right, well, thank you all very much. Hope you found it useful.